I welcome you all to this presentation. Myself Pratiksha Apke, Department of Pharmaceutics, KLE College of Pharmacy, Hubli. In this session, I am going to discuss basics of microencapsulation. Contents of this presentation includes introduction, types, reasons for encapsulation, its advantages and disadvantages, and fundamental considerations. Coming to the introduction part, what is microencapsulation for? It is a process that makes capsules of solid, liquid or gases on a microscopic scale with the purpose of conserving their properties, controlling the movement and the place they have released so that they can be more effective. It is defined as a process where small solid particles or a small liquid droplets are surrounded by an intact thin shell of an inert polymeric material. Here the drug substances is encapsulated in a biocompatible or a biodegradable polymer forming particles. Therefore, the microencapsulation is a process in which a gaseous, liquid or a solid agents can be embedded in a carrier matrix or a shell material by which a new products with a customized characteristics can be produced. Products which are obtained at the end of microencapsulation process are said to be microcapsules or microparticles. Inert polymeric materials includes ethyl cellulose, cellulose acetate phthalate, ethylene vinylene acetate, polyvinylene alcohol, gelatin, etc. It is a simple process in which a fine particles of solid or a droplets of liquid ranging from 1 to 5000 microns are covered with a thin film of coating material. Here the particle diameter ranges from 5 to 5000 mm. For parenteral delivery it is less than 250 mm. For injection it is less than 125 mm. It is possible to incorporate into different dosage forms, such as in case of solid it might be in the form of capsule, tablet, sachets. In case of liquid it might be in the form of solution, suspension, parenteral route. In case of semi-solid it might be in the form of gels, cream and paste. Moving on to the different types of microcapsules or microspheres. Here, coming to the structure of microcapsule, the core material is encapsulated in a coating material. In microcapsule, the drug is encapsulated in a membrane, whereas in microsphere, which is a spherical free-flowing particles, here the entrapped substances, that is a drug, is dispersed throughout the matrix. As discussed in the previous slide, microcapsule have a different size range. In this figure, you can see a various types like mononuclear, simple spherical, multinuclear, spherical, polynuclear or a multicore and spherical or a matrix type and an irregular type depending on the structure. Out of this, mononuclear spherical is a common type of microcapsules widely used in pharmaceutical areas. So here the figure 3 indicates a different types of microspheres which affects the release of therapeutically active agent. Example, temperature controlled microspheres, magnetic microspheres mainly used to deliver a chemotherapeutic agent to liver tumor by varying a magnetic field, or ultrasound mediated delivery of drugs. Enzymatic microcapsules by fabrication of enzyme containing a microcapsule, that is enzyme encapsulation in order to protect against degradation. Or pH, temperature, dual or a single stimuli responsive polymer based microcapsule can be used as a carrier of some drugs to release at a specific site which is triggered by a low pH and a high temperature. Or other type of microspheres like diagnostic microspheres used for imaging, radioactive microspheres used for targeting the tumor cells. Moving on to the next part, that is reasons for microencapsulation. The first reason for microencapsulation is production of sustained release dosage form. It triggers the release of selected active ingredient during application. So it delivers a tailored release profile to suit formulation and application, and it is modified according to the need. Therefore, it will allow production of a sustained release dosage form. Next reason is it reduces hazard. Microencapsulation also serves as an effective means to reduce toxicity of the products like insecticides and pesticides, preventing hazard. Next is reduces possibilities of sensitization. Example, ampicillin trihydrate, which has been microencapsulated in order to reduce the sensitivity of a factory personnel. Next is it reduces the hygroscopic properties, that is the hygroscopic behavior of a core material, that is sodium chloride, can be modified with the aid of microencapsulation. Next is it improves the flow properties of the vitamins. Example, thiamine hydrochloride, riboflavin, niacin with iron phosphate for the preparation of tablet. Next is it provides protection to the core material against the environmental condition. Next is it enhances the stability of a fat soluble vitamin, and also it prevents the incompatibility between the drugs. That is, it is one of the effective means to separate incompatibility between a pharmaceuticals and thus help in providing a safe and a effective product by microencapsulation. Next, it is used to mask the unpleasant taste of the drug. So, to retard volatility, odor and unpleasant taste of the additives and drugs can be effectively masked by microencapsulation process. And this method is also used to reduce a gastric irritation which is caused by the substances like ferrous sulfate, potassium chloride, etc. So, these are the important reasons for microencapsulation. Moving on to the different advantages and disadvantages of microencapsulation. So, because of the technique of microencapsulation, particle size reduction takes place, hence enhancing the solubility, and it provides a constant and a prolonged therapeutic effect. It protects the drug from the enzymatic and a photolytic cleavage. It reduces the dosing frequency and toxicity. It helps to convert liquids to solid, and it is having an improved patient compliance and bioavailability. These are some of the advantages. Moving on to the disadvantages, because of the different techniques, there will be formulation difficulties. There might be sometimes incomplete coating, sometimes product failure may take place, and due to all these techniques there will be a high economic cost. Moving on to the next slide, that is fundamental consideration. So it involves a basic understanding of a general properties of microcapsules like the nature of the core, coating material, stability, release characteristics of a coated material, and microencapsulation method. So let us see the first fundamental consideration, that is release mechanism. There are 4 different release mechanisms for microencapsulation. First one is degradation controlled monolithic system. Here in this mechanism, drug is dissolved in a matrix and is distributed uniformly throughout. Drug is strongly attached to the matrix and is released on degradation of the matrix. Here the diffusion of the drug is slow as compared with the degradation of the matrix. Coming to the second mechanism, that is diffusion controlled monolithic system. Here active agent is released by diffusion prior to the degradation of the polymer matrix. Rate of release depends on where the polymer degrades, either by homogeneous or a heterogeneous mechanism. Coming to the third mechanism, that is active diffusion controlled reservoir system. Here the active agent diffuses through the rate controlling membrane and erodes after the delivery is completed. Here the active agent is encapsulated by a rate controlling membrane. So in this case the drug release is unaffected by degradation of the matrix. Next mechanism is by erosion. Here the pH and enzymatic hydrolysis causes a drug release due to the erosion of the coat. Next a fundamental consideration is a core material. It is a specific material which is to be coated. It can be either liquid or a solid, And the composition of the core material can be varied. Say for example, in case of liquid core, it includes a dispersed or a dissolved material. Composition of the core material includes active constituent, diluents, stabilizers, different excipients and release rate retardants. So the material composition provides definite flexibility, effective design by utilization of these characteristics, development of these desired microcapsule properties. Coming to the third fundamental consideration of microencapsulation is a coating material. Selection of the appropriate coating material decides physical and chemical properties of the microcapsule or a microsphere. Selection of the polymers requires products which are stable, which is having a reduced volatility, good release characteristics and good environmental conditions. Coming to the properties, polymers should be capable of forming a film that is cohesive with a coating material. It should be chemically compatible and non-reactive with the core material. It should provide a desirable coating properties like flexibility, impermeability, optical properties and stability. Polymer used may be hydrophobic or hydrophilic or a combination of both. So here the film thickness mainly depends on the surface area of material to be coated and the physical characteristics of the system. Moving on to the next part, that is coating material additives. Additives are the substances which are added to alter or improve a general quality or to counteract the undesirable property. Coating material contains different additives. First one is a film former. These are the high molecular weight polymers that are used alone or a combination with other additive to form a coat. Example is cellulose acetate phthalate, polyvinyl acetate phthalate, hydroxypropyl methyl cellulose, cellulose acetate phthalate and anionic and cationic acrylic polymers. Coming to the second additive, that is solvent. It is used to dissolve the coating material by solvation of macromolecule by disrupting the cohesive force. There are some factors like crystallinity, steric hindrance, polarity, hydrophilicity, hydrophobicity of the polymer which play a decisive role in solvent selection. There are various polar or a non-polar solvents which are used for such processes like methanol, acetone, water, alcohol, chloroform, etc., which is mainly based on the film former properties. Third additive of a coating material is a plasticizers. There are two different types of plasticizer. One is internal, other one is external, depending on the addition to polymeric film material. Internal plasticizers causes a chemical modification in the polymer, usually copolymerization, to impart or achieve a desirable properties, whereas external plasticizers are added to make change in the physiochemical properties. So these plasticizers are the substances that are non-volatile, which are having a high boiling point and could impart physical and chemical properties. Example is phthalates. Coming to the next additive is surfactants. They are added to improve wetting, miscibility, permeability, stability and spreading of the film coating. They mainly assist in penetration and dissolution of coating and release of core material. It also imparts stability to microcapsule by preventing aggregation due to charge induced by a surfactant. Example is cationic and anionic surfactants. Moving on to the next additive, that is colorants and opacant extenders. So here the FDA approved finely dispersed insoluble lakes and colors are recommended. So the soluble colorants often used because of the color migration, photo degradation and mottling of the product. Opacant extenders are added to paralyze the coating and render it non-transparent to defects and improves the elegance of the products. Example is titanium dioxide. Next additive is lubricants and anti-tacking agents. So it is mainly used to reduce the friction between the surfaces during coating. These compounds act as a boundary lubricants by having a polar region of molecule absorbed on a substrate, leaving a non-polar aliphatic region projecting from a surface of the coating. So this will cause reduction in the surface adhesion between the wall of the pan and the microcapsule. Good example for lubricant is a stearic acid. So this was all about the additives used in a coating material. So these are some of the examples of coating material. Say for example water soluble resin. Different ingredients can be used, like examples gelatin, starch, polyvinyl pyrrolidine, carboxymethyl cellulose and so on. In case of water insoluble resins, ethyl cellulose, polyethylene, polymethyl acrylate, polyamide can be used. In case of waxes and lipids, paraffin, beeswax, stearic acid, glycerol stearates can be used. In case of enteric resin, shellac, cellulose acetate and zinc phthalate can be used. So these are the different examples of a coating material. Coming to the conclusion, microencapsulation can be defined as a packaging technology of solid, liquid or a gaseous material with a thin polymeric coating forming a small particles called microcapsule. The polymer acts as a protective film, isolating the core and avoiding the effect of its inadequate exposure. This membrane dissolves itself through a specific stimulus, releasing the core in the ideal place or at an ideal time. Microencapsulation is a process in which active substances are coated by extremely small capsule. It is a new technology that has been used in the cosmetic industry as well as in the pharmaceutical, agrochemical and food industries. The success of this technology is due to the correct choice of a wall material, the core release form and the encapsulation method. Development of a oral controlled release system has been a challenge to a formulation scientist due to their inability to restrain and localize the system at a targeted areas of gastrointestinal tract. Microfabricated system offers a potential advantages over a conventional drug delivery system. So the microspheres or a microcapsules are established as a unique carrier system for many pharmaceuticals and can be tailored to adhere to a targeted tissue system. Thank you.